Welcome back to See Ya.
See ya!
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'm William Rosen.
I'm Jon Burr.
Deep to right field. There it goes! See ya!
Every New York sport, every minute. New episodes every Thursday.
Welcome back to See Ya, a New York sports podcast. Taken from the legendary Michael K. phrase, there it goes, see ya. I'm William Rosen.
And I'm Jon Burke.
And John, we're back to mics. We got it set up.
High-level stuff right here.
High-level stuff. This is going to sound good. And this is probably coming off of our last episode. I'd say my favorite episode ever recording.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
It was a lot of debates and kind of up to the other person to see what that topic meant. And I think that this week is going to continue that in another episode of a list episode. And this is going to be the top, in our opinion. This is the broad term is the top NFL active head coaches.
See, this is what's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talking about what's happened is not much of an opinion. I mean, it is opinion.
It's fact.
It's fact, but this
is up for an opinion.
And I think this is another one, as of like the last one. There's a couple ways you can interpret what the best head coach is. Rings, tacticals, CEO, how good of a culture do they build?
Tenure, longest tenure.
Yes.
If they've stayed for, I don't know, we have a couple people who have stayed for more than 15 years.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? It sure is. But
I personally didn't even think of that.
And if they,
it's not even part of my
and
list.
if they make a consistent AFC or NFC championship game where they end up in the playoffs, and even if they're, a 500, 600 team, if that has been what the case has been for 10 years, it's not the worst thing in the world, especially for a small market franchise. But I'm not talking as much small market franchises last week because in football,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter as much.
I will. I think before we start, we should state like what we think is important because that will really shape our lists.
Mm-hmm.
Should I go first or not?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm gonna just look at my list first. To think about this. Okay, what matters? So some things that did not matter to me at all. Tenure did not matter.
Okay.
Rings did not matter a lot. I'm thinking and what matters is tactical. I think tactical and culture is what really matters. How much you can do to your team as an individual. Like, for example, I will say, obviously, Bill Belichick is very high on my list. But what has happened to that team after Tom Brady left certainly does not look good on him from my point of view. Because as from a great coach, certainly you need good players to win. But you also, what makes you a great is to turn not so great players into great players.
Doing less with more.
Yes, and one of my
doing more with less.
My number two on my list is something
doing more with less.
That is what the first thing that came into my mind.
For me, on my side, I'd say the top three things I thought about were, playoff appearances.
Yeah, that's important. Consistency.
Number two would be tenure. I
Yeah.
think a coach that has you don't really see it in other sports that much. I mean, you see Greg Popovich, who's an exception in basketball. You see, I guess you could say Tito or Madden when they were with those. Joe Madden, of course, not other Madden.
No, I know.
In baseball, and then I guess hockey, who's the longest? Tortorella when he was with Columbus? No, that was 5.
There's no one. No one stays that long.
I'd say
in hockey.
football is the North American sport exception. And when we say sport, we mean North American. We don't mean football, as we'll come
It's
with
soccer now.
a little bit of a World Cup episode, I think maybe next week.
Maybe after the U.S.
either wins or losses.
Either wins.
Or we could do a mini week episode, a quick little anecdote. But we'll get on that. So I would have to say tenure, playoff appearances, and I guess you'll see it at the bottom of my list. I call them the rising stars.
Yes, okay. See, I was thinking about that. And 10, originally it was 5, and you're like, there's way too many. There was 7, I was like, there has to be 10.
So I'm going to go with the big boys and then the rising stars. Which you'll understand.
I think we should go from 10
to 1 this time?
10 to 1 this time, but I have 2 honorable mentions that are they haven't actually done anything since their first year.
Well, okay.
But I think
my 10, 9, and 8 are basically just, you can't really give that much fact on it. It's more just what's going to be in the future and what they've done so far, and you'll see that. Do you want to begin?
Yeah, I'm usually very against the honorable mention because I'm like, the list is the list, but there are two names I think that have to be.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Staley?
No. I think he's going to get fired, actually.
You're not going to go with Salah, are you?
No.
Dable?
Yeah, he's one of them.
Dable and... How new are we talking? First year, both of them?
First year.
Both of them?
Yeah, well, I already said Dable, so that's
And
this guy is, like, the best character in the NFL from a head coach perspective.
on the Texans?
No.
Best character.
Head
Oh,
coach.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel. Okay, I'll start with that.
Go ahead.
On the honorable mentions, most of them are that much time on them. But Dable as a whole doing more with less. Like, the Giants maybe have the second or third worst roster in the NFL. And they're going to go, like, 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, 10-7. They're gonna have a very respectable record.
Yeah, and I don't want to brag, but not brag, but I don't want to compliment you. But you could say that for the Jets as well.
I know. I think this is probably expected. Our roster is so good, but I will say Robert Saleh put on his big boy pants this week by benching Wilson. But like, it's just a big thing of being a head coach is not really the coaching, the X's and O's, but the culture that you build. A CEO. Does Dable call the plays? Do you know?
I
Or
mean,
is it Kafka? I think it's Kafka.
It's I mean, then on defense you have
No, Wink. But he doesn't even touch the defense. He probably does actually.
he does. He touches the defense more than the offense.
That's definitely not the case given he was an OC. But I know he was a special teams coordinator at Alabama, so he's a CEO. I mean, he does the offense, but he is a CEO.
And it feels like a new Giants team. It feels
Yeah,
like
it's
the
a
Tom
culture.
Coughlin
He's a
team.
culture.
It feels like those Tom Coughlin teams. I mean, you probably don't
I
remember
don't.
that, but that was like like Eli and but not Eli towards the end with like the idiots like who did you have McAdoo and
Shermer.
Not talking about that. I mean it's
we
only
have-
been 1 year, but whatever.
Okay,
Continue.
and that's stable, doing more with less.
I think
We'll see
McDaniel.
what happens when we get there. But McDaniel is really the coach who is two things. Great tacticals. He took Tua and elevated him because we all know who Tua is. He's just like Jimmy G, but a lefty. He can be really good if you make it easy for him. He's made it insanely easy for him, although it's sort of easy when you have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. I mean, who are the Giants receivers right now?
Wandale, who just got injured. He
No,
was
it's
their
not even
number one
Wandale. It's
receiver.
Isaiah
Right
Hodgins
now,
and
right now.
Slayton. It's Hodgins and
Slayton, and then
Richie James.
Bellinger is going to come back.
Well, he's a tight end.
Well, he's a receiver.
But not this.
Not
I
a
mean,
wide
this last
yeah,
game.
okay, yes.
This last game. It was Slayton, Richie James, and Isaiah Hodgins.
Mhm.
So it's just ridiculous. And like, there's not much to say, but like McDaniel just feel like people love the guy.
Well, he came from
Shanahan.
or coaching. Tree.
Okay,
Coaching tree. Could
That's
be
a big thing.
Yes, I have
the
coaching tree.
tree.
Coaching tree. That was.
I didn't even
not-
think of it,
That
but
wasn't
now
on the
that's-
top of my list, but that, of course, you'll
That's
see.
important. Yeah.
And so those are your two honorable mentions. I didn't make any honorable mentions. You turn the mic on.
It's back on.
I didn't make any honorable mentions this week because I usually do when I let him berate me. But are you ready to go into?
Yeah, you can go 10. So
We're gonna go 10-1.
Yeah, you can go your first 10.
All right, I made.
He printed this
I did a
out.
huge
I'm
research
trying
list
not
here.
to look at this.
All right.
But, I
My
started
number
bleeding.
10 started his head coaching career in 2018.
All right.
Former NFL player, former tough guy, current tough guy, but he has a big heart. He reached the playoffs 3 times.
Okay, just say it's Mike Vrabel.
In 4, you're reading it.
No, I'm not, but I know who it is.
It's Mike Vrabel.
I love
Tennessee
Mike Vrabel.
Titans head coach. In 4 seasons, he has reached the playoffs 3 times. First
I'll let you
seed
say
in
it.
the AFC South in 2020 and 2021. And for me, I think I put him at number 10 just because he's been in the league freaking 4 seasons, excluding. Personally, I'm not talking about this season.
Okay.
In
This season's one of his greatest works.
I'm just saying, in most of these, I'm not talking about this season, just because. But this season, for him at least, looks like a huge bright spot. He has, I'd say, revived a Titans team in the past that was kind of slow. Not necessarily slow in playing time, but this is going back to what you said, the culture. That man, I say, is a culture guy.
Yes, he's the CEO.
He's a CEO. Bringing in, I would say, what would you call 2014-15 Ryan Tannehill?
Well, he's not the one who did that.
I know. I'm just saying.
But this is where I think we're going to have a disconnect.
Just tell me.
here.
Just
This
answer my
This has
question.
nothing to do with him.
Can you answer my
He
question?
didn't even...
Can you answer my question?
What was the question?
What was Ryan Tannehill before he?
He was like, sort of like Daniel Jones, sort of like wavering. Like,
And
is
right
he
now?
good?
Right now.
No, he's a solid quarterback.
That's exactly what
Well, I don't think it has anything to do
Well, I
with him.
disagree. We tend to disagree on this podcast.
Let me say why. Can I
And
say why I don't think it has anything to do with him?
Go ahead.
That's everything to do with Arthur Smith. That has nothing to do with Mike Vrabel. He
But
doesn't
who's
coach
the?
quarterback.
You just said he's the CEO.
Yeah, but he doesn't like coach anyone. He just like motivates people.
You could make the case then that a coach does nothing on any team.
Well, no, because he doesn't coach anybody. He's a CEO.
All right, but the CEO still has managing qualities.
Yeah, I something. Well, he's a defense. He's a fucking. I'm sorry. He's a linebacker. The guy's not coaching the quarterback. But I agree. I love Vrabel.
Okay.
You'll be shocked to see where he's on my list. I love Vrabel.
So for me, I put Variable at 10 just because, I mean, he's done great. No Super Bowl appearances. No champion. Did he go to no championship games?
He's gone to an AFC championship.
He
game.
won AFC championship
Yeah.
game in 4 seasons. So I think he's done a phenomenal job in 4 seasons. And I think he's going to stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
Your number 10, John?
My number 10. Okay. My number 10 is Matt LaFleur,
Matt
the
LaFleur.
coach for Green Bay. And I will say I was a little on the fence about this one because I'm like, I don't really know how much he's done, considering he's Aaron Rodgers. And now that there's no Devontae Adams this year, they look a little shaky. But it's indisputable that his first 3 years were the best first 3 years of any head coach in NFL history. I think he went 13-3, 13-3, 13-3.
Record-wise,
13-4. Yeah, record-wise.
Record-wise.
Like wins-loss percentage. He was unbelievable.
Mhm.
That's sort of it. I mean, I don't...
Nothing else to say. I mean, this season, you can't.
No, I mean, it's fine. I mean,
You're also dealing with Aaron Rodgers.
Look, it's just when you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, it's not that hard. But when you're the head coach, you take credit for everything that goes right, and you get blamed for everything that goes wrong. So a lot of things went right those first 3 years.
And right now, it's kind of up in the
No, I mean, yeah, it's not great. And look, the offensive scheme has a little bit to do with him. I mean, he was the play caller, so he did, produce 2 MVPs, which is more than a lot of coaches can say. It's a 66% hit rate for Matt LaFleur. And yeah,
He's been around for years,
Adams,
and he's still young.
Yeah, he's a young coach.
A lot of people, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people.
Robert Sala's best friend.
A lot of people want him gone though.
No, he's not going to be good.
I agree with you.
And Michael LaFleur, his brother, is the OC of the Jets, Bar Mitzvah boy. He looks really young. That's what me and my dad call him, Bar Mitzvah boy.
So you have basically someone who's record-wise very solid.
Yeah,
but that's basically
as solid
it.
as it gets.
Right now, that's basically it.
He's a great play caller. No, look, his teams have done well. I mean, he's succeeded. He's done very well.
That's exactly what I have for my number 9.
Whoa, I go 9.
Sure.
You know how this
I think we
works.
might have the same number 9 here. I haven't looked at your list.
How would you know? Okay,
I just know you very well.
Okay, number 9 is someone who you definitely wouldn't put on your list because you said you didn't really evaluate this year. Number 9, Kevin O'Connell.
Not on my list.
Head coach of the Vikings. Look what they were last year.
Yeah, I said before I didn't really take into account this year just because.
Okay, look what they are last year. Look what they are now. You can say they're frauds, but look at their record.
No,
you are at the quote Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are.
Exactly.
They're 9-2,
and they have. I'd say the number 1.
Are they 9-2 or are they 8-3? Whatever. They're very good.
They're probably the most. Besides Philadelphia, I'd say that no one expected this.
Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback. He's made him look really good, and you got Justin Jefferson, who's an elite
the
receiver.
number 2 receiver in the league.
He's an elite receiver.
Tyreek than him, you think?
I think Justin Jefferson's number 1. But it's another thing. Like, he's just young. Like, this guy brings so much energy, and just people love him. In order to be a good head coach, people gotta love you. Even though I gotta say, I think everyone hates Bill Belichick. So that's an interesting contrast there.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys, there's not much to say.
Well, also, Bill Belichick is like 30 years older than most coaches. Different generation. I'm serious.
Yeah,
that takes
there's
like a
there's like a 40-year difference. He drafted Kevin O'Connell.
So how old was that? He must have been.
Kevin O'Connell was like 38.
So
Bill Belichick's like 76.
Bill Belichick is not 76.
Or how old is he? Like 72?
You know who we can ask?
Siri.
Alexa, how old is Bill Belichick?
Bill Belichick is 70 years old.
70. 6 years old.
Yeah. So, whatever. He's still really old.
For a head coach. So, you think that
I think Kevin
this
O'Connell's a great
success
coach.
will continue, though, for him? Or for at least the Vikings?
I don't know. They've had a pretty easy schedule. I don't really know who they've beaten. They sort of got ransacked by the Cowboys. So, I mean, honestly, let's look at their schedule. I think they are frauds. I think they're going to get bounced in, like, the first round.
Like a fraud, meaning like an Eagle fraud? Or
No,
just because of
the
schedule?
Eagles aren't frauds. They're that's a good team, but like they have not beaten anyone. Let's look at who the Vikings have what they already played. Okay, they beat the Patriots. They're trash. Packers. They're not very good. Lions, Saints, Bears, Dolphins. Didn't have two. Cardinals, Commanders. They beat the Bills. That was a good one. That's it. That's their only good one.
All right. So, can I go now?
Yeah.
Beautiful. You mentioned the Bills. My number 9, Sean McDermott.
Yep. He was on my mind.
Sean McDermott started in 2017, John, in 5 seasons. He has made, excluding this season, of course, he has made the playoffs 4 times. 4 out of 5 times, 80%. He went to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Chiefs in 2020. In the regular season, he has a .620 win percentage, and he has been, I say, the face of I call him the new age coaches. You always hear Tony Romo and the guys talking about these younger, not necessarily like the LaFleurs, but I'd say right now, the Vrabels, the O'Connells, the Vrabels, the Dables.
I think there's 2 separate things. There's young guys.
I'm not talking about McDaniel. Like the
there's
tough
2 separate things. They're like the tough guys, like Dable, Vrabel,
and Campbell.
Campbell. Yeah, that's like
But
the middle-aged young guys.
This is who
like
I'm
the
talking
40-year-olds.
I'm talking about like a little older,
like the 45-year-olds.
yes, but not
not
like
the 38-year-olds.
not the Tomlins and those.
Yeah.
Not like the new guys.
Yeah.
I think
he's a
McDermott
coach.
has. I wrote right here will be the reason I put him at 9 is going to be the most successful coach possibly in the next 10 years.
I have to say I like him, but I only believe it's like it goes back to the entire thing about how good, like how much does he do? Like he's a special teams guy, and I gotta say something about the Bills. They have a great defensive game plan. You gotta give it to Leslie Frazier. I don't think McDermott touches that. And the offense, they're not coached well. They don't like. That's the one reason why.
He uses Allen like a perfect genie.
That's not. He doesn't use him. It's not him.
When you say okay, then we can make up a case that this should be best offensive coordinators.
It really should, because
Okay.
I'm telling you, but like those are the people that do the game planning. Like I think like there's CEOs and there are coaches. Like they're 2 separate things.
Can I just say something to you? This is on the NFL side. If let's say I'm a head coach, I'm head coach William, and I go, how many games they played? Now 17 games a season. I go 16-1. I am winning the coach of the year. Nothing against the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special team coordinator. But
yes,
no offense, there's no special team coordinator award
or
agree. Top OC or top
I completely
DC.
agree with you. I think McDermott's very good.
I'm like the president of a country. No offense, they're not doing the most that they could, but their staff. But they collect that staff and bring them together.
I agree. I just think there's other ways to say how good they are. I don't think they're, and it's another thing as a collective. You're right. The collective. I just don't think they're a very well coached team, except for their defense. And I know
the resume don't lie. Resume doesn't lie.
I know he doesn't touch the defense. That's all Leslie Frazier.
5 seasons, 4 playoff
And
appearances.
I said this a couple weeks ago. The reason the Bills are not going anywhere is because they're horribly coached on offense and they can't run the ball.
Once again, I personally put the resume in front of that. As we're going to go over to number 8. But before we do, John, I'm going to take a quick break. And we're back as we're going to go over to number 8 now on our top active head coaches in the league. For my number 8, you could make the big argument that this could be a number 5 or number 4 guy, even a number 6 guy, but I have him at 8 just because of the, I don't want to say, honestly, I'll give you the truth. The reason I have him so low is just because he hasn't been in the league that long. If he has done this success at the success rate that he's done right now, say he started in 2013, I'd probably put him at possibly 4. But right now, just because he hasn't been in the league long enough than some of the other guys who have been consistent, I'd say my top thing is consistency. Number 8 for me is Kyle Shanahan.
He's on my list as well.
I hope he is. Kyle Shanahan has not won a Super Bowl, but made an appearance versus the Chiefs, which he lost 2019. He also lost in the championship game to the Rams in 2021. He started in 2017. He's not going anywhere. I have him as just very good.
I think he's a great coach. One of the best in the league.
I agree with you. One of the best in the league, but not. It's hard to say just because we talked about this before. There are so many long tenured coaches in the league. Not necessarily with one team, just generally long. But starting in 2017, you can't be up there, in my opinion, with. You'll get to hear it later, like the Tomlins and the Carrolls and the whatever, just because they've been in the league so much longer. But you're saying that these coaches are like, I don't know. You're saying right now you're judging their success off of right now.
I think that's something that I'm looking at. I think consistency is important.
But Kyle Shanahan, if he keeps this up, he could possibly be a top 10 coach
Of all time?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think another reason why I agree he hasn't been doing it for that long is a big reason why there's a sense of consistency is his father and the fact that he was such a great coordinator with the Falcons. He took him to the Super Bowl.
If we're talking coaching, he's probably number 4.
Yeah, that's
I
took it. I mean, I think coaching was a big thing for me. He's really high on my list. I think he is.
He's a coach.
He's probably the best coach in the league for a tactical standpoint. So, actually, that's not true. I think he's probably the second best tactical coach in the league. Actually, that's not
Resume,
true.
though, for him in his small career is phenomenal.
He's the second best offensive tactical coach.
Super Bowl, championship game, Jimmy G. Love Jimmy G. He did it with Jimmy G. Debo. I mean, he has the new modern. I would say he's like a modern coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different because his system is a long system, since the 80s.
But the thing is, though, him as a head coach right now.
Yeah, it's sort of odd. He's young.
He's
and,
great.
Hip. He's not like that though. He's very concealed and.
But you understand why I'm putting him at 8?
No, I do. I see what you're saying.
He deserves.
What you're saying isn't wrong.
He deserves to be a top 10 coach, but just because he's not been in the league as long as some of these actual coaches who have done the same in a wider span, I hereby put Mr. Shanahan at 8. John, number 8.
Okay, my number 8. I think I just looked at it, but let me make sure because old brain ain't as sharp as it used to be. Number 8 is Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin, all the way at 8.
He's my number 8.
Not a fan of that personally.
He's my number 8, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
This year, a little recency bias has been very negative. Last year was very negative. The year before that, in 2020, they were straight frauds. Look, I think he is one of the best coaches of all time. I think,
and he's at number 8
right now.
That's recency bias.
Yes, there's extreme recency bias.
I don't deal with that.
I gotta say though, I think he
disagree.
It's a sort of similar thing to Bill Belichick. What happens when you have no quarterback?
Okay, but Bill Belichick, that's 2 years.
Mike Tomlin has no quarterback the last 2 years.
Mike Tomlin, as I talk about later, Mike Tomlin is not arguably. I mean, on my list, Mike Tomlin is higher.
I really like. Look, I agree.
This is not my cup of tea here.
I like Tomlin. I like Tomlin a lot. And I almost didn't put him on the list, but he is a very impressive streak of staying over 500, which is going to end this year.
To 500.
Yeah, 500. It's going to end this year, unfortunately, for him. But look, he could really go up into all-time greats if he gets something done with Pickett here. If I were him, I'd take a couple years off, though. This is a pretty...
retire? Or take
a couple years off.
But stay with the Steelers?
No. Just do what Sean Payton did. Just take a couple years off.
Sean will be back, though.
Wait for your contract to end, then go to a more desirable situation. This is not...
Like a Quinn Schneider. Wherever he is.
Yeah, whatever. This is just not... They don't have a quarterback.
It's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault
actually
at all.
Not his fault.
No.
He's done everything possible. Big Ben looked like he was
selling
mattresses at the end of last season.
Pickens or what's his name? Pickett is. I don't think he's it. I don't think they should have drafted him. I think they should have waited for a quarterback this year.
I don't know if he was on board with that.
And I mean, it doesn't. I don't really think it mattered if he was or wasn't. It wasn't really his decision. But I think he's good. But I think there's others who are better. He's on a bit of a downturn right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't coaching in the NFL next year.
Not a fire though.
No, not a fire. They'd never fire him. But as of he's gonna take a break and just reset. He's been doing it for a long time. You'd imagine it has to take a mental toll.
Oh yeah. Most of these guys.
Well, yeah, it's just like this.
It's real. I bring it back to my previous point. It really is impressive now that I actually think about it, and I've done all this research now to see how long these people have been in head coaching. You don't see this in most other sports. Tom Thibodeau has been head coaching, you think, for what, 20 years? No, he started in 2009 with the Celtics for a year, and then he went to the Bulls. Actually, the Celtics, he was like a interim. But that's not that long.
No, it's not compared to these guys. I think he should just step back and give it to Flores.
That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
It's a very negative situation.
Not a bad idea.
Okay.
You want to do number 7?
Yeah, but your number 7. You said shit. Oh, my 7. My bad.
Yeah. He attacks me. You see
my
how this
bad,
guy rolls?
My bad. Okay. This is another, recency bias, but it sounds bad because we're only doing 10, but there are 32 of these in the league.
Yes, there are.
Okay, Sean McVay 7. I just think there's a lot of hype around him. This year has been really bad, really bad. He has been a bad coach this year.
Sean McVay at 7.
Not
the worst.
He's a Super Bowl winner.
But you could also say what I said. He hasn't had. I mean, okay. This is where Sean McVay's tricky. He's only been in the league
5 years, 16
since
it's 7 years.
But he
was an OC with Washington and Shanahan.
He started in 17.
Yeah, okay.
His resume is up there with
it's really good,
unbelievable.
Yeah, 2 Super Bowls appearances.
But that's it.
Same thing. Yeah.
I think these young guys who have not had the physical, technical longevity of people who've Madden and it's hard to explain what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're saying.
People who have been in the league with great resumes for 5-6 years, they're great, but can they continue it?
Another thing that irks me about McVay is it's not an irk. He's the 7th best head coach in the league. It's just in terms of X's and O's, I don't really see him doing that much. His OC's always I know he's calling the plays, but whenever his OCs go away, it's sort of just I don't know. They always seem to do just as good.
McVay for me is within 2. I'm not going to tell you when, but it is within 2.
I like him. It's just I also think he's not going to be coaching next year.
Well, there were rumors of him possibly wanting to retire.
Did he get an
last
extension?
Year. Do you remember?
Yeah, did he get an extension?
I think he did. It wasn't a long one though.
Whatever. This has also been really bad. This year has been bad, and it's his fault.
I'm not taking account of this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's his fault. It's not the player's fault.
I'll go on to my number 7.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna like this one bit personally. I think this is one where he's gonna be no. My number 7. I'd say 25% of it is because of his story, and the rest of it is because of I just love the guy, and I think he's done very well. It gets a little bit of a bad rap sometimes, but number 7 for me is Ron Rivera. Thoughts? I'll give you the details in a moment.
No, I mean, I was thinking about it. I mean, he's fine. I mean,
can I give you some statistics?
I know he's very...
All right. He has no Super Bowl win, which is whatever. He has a .524 winning percentage. In the regular season, he's 96, 87, and 1. He's 2-time Coach of the Year. For me, I said it at the beginning. I talk about accolades in 13 and 15 with Carolina. Personally, I just love his story. I'm a guy. I mean, that's how I roll. I love his story. It's a very upsetting story. His brother and mother both died from cancer, from pancreatic and lung cancer, respectively. In August of 2020, he was diagnosed with neck cancer. And this goes like to show how resilient he is, and he shows it on these interviews. I think he's the best person coach wise. He went under 7 weeks of chemo, 3 cycles of it in 7 weeks, but only missed 3 practices. He came to everyone in Washington. He's cancer free right now, and led Washington to the first seed in the NFC East in 2020. And led Carolina to the Super Bowl in 2015. You could say that's Cam and whatever, but he was also I'd say one of the most impressive seasons with Carolina, 15-1.
Definitely.
With Carolina and Newton. I mean, Newton, Cam, it was basically the Cam show back then. But I mean, he had, of course, they didn't have the best team.
No, they were really good.
I mean, they had the best team, but I mean, they didn't have these.
Really good guys.
What are this? Who was their running back? Jonathan
Stewart?
Yeah.
I don't know, but their defense was sick.
He started coaching in 11, so you could. How many years is that? That's 12 seasons. He has had 5 playoff appearances and a Super Bowl.
Look, I agree. I think he's a good coach. I think he is above all leader of men. Mm-hmm. Just like Jeff Saturday, he knows how to lead men. Look,
resilient.
I think he's fine. I think he's like a mediocre coach. As from an actual coach perspective, I don't think he's that
For
good.
me, yes, you're actually right.
I
agree.
Keeps the team
I
together,
think personally, I think it's a Ron Rivera, not a coach. Ron Rivera is at number 7. Coach Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera.
A lot of other guys, if they were in this coaching position, would have just crumbled. This team is
He cares about coaching.
That's not even it.
He had cancer, John.
I'm just talking. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I think it's a resilient story.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with him as a coach.
But I think it shows a lot. I think it shows that he cares about his team. He cares about the men he leads.
As a person, you're right. He is very personable. I agree. Seems like a great person.
I bet there were many coaches in college and high school and professional that if, God forbid, they got sick, I think they would drop football.
I mean,
I think that shows a lot about his character.
I mean, yeah, I agree. But
he's reached the Super Bowl. He led those Panthers teams to some top tier
right now,
seasons.
This is like.
Well, once again, I'm talking about active coaches. If we said top 10 coaches today, that's a different category.
I mean, yeah. I see what you're saying.
You mentioned it at the top. We have different perspectives on this topic.
If this was a stable franchise, he had been fired in week 5. But look what happened. You turned it around this year.
Taylor Heineke, baby. It's Heineke's show.
Yeah. So
number 7 for you, John? Or number 6? I'll do number 6.
Is it for you?
Yeah. Number 6 is Sean McVay. Number 6, 1 spot ahead of you. I put him 1 spot ahead because, I mean, he's so young, but listen to this. Zach Taylor, Brandon Staley, and Kevin O'Connell. Coaching tree. At how many years? 5 years he's established a coaching tree? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's cool. As you mentioned, I throw this in. He played at Miami, Ohio. So does another coach on my list. He started in 2017 in his first season, 11-5, first in the NFC West. Next year, 13-3, first in the NFC West. Made it to the Super Bowl that year. Made it to the 2020 divisional game. Super Bowl 1 against the Bengals in 21. What else can you ask? I mean, he has had just kind of the ideal coaching career, stepped into a great situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, do you know what's another thing about him that's another thing that irks me? He's always had the best roster in the NFL. Yeah.
You're right.
He's all these stars. Even the first wave with Goff, they had Gurley. Mm-hmm. They had Cooks on that team.
Donald.
They had Watkins. He was good.
Donald.
Yeah, I'm not even mentioning the defense on that first team. They had Donald. They had Aqib Talib.
Aqib Talib was pivotal
really
to that
good.
team. No, you're right. Their roster was you can but you could also say that I'm talking basketball. Steve Kerr technically came into the best rosters for 5 years.
Yeah. Basketball is a lot.
It's a lot different.
Yeah,
yes. You're right.
The coaches don't do as much as basketball.
No, 100% because of the players. But in this case, he did come in with a loaded roster, and I mean the success minus this year has been half.
Really good.
Half as good as he. Not half as good. I'm sorry. he could only dream of having the
Yeah,
success.
it's been very good. He's been very, very good. I think there's a 6 stat, which really probably hasn't done so well this year. He was like undefeated going into halftime, but he was like 30-0.
John, this ends my what do we call them? The young guys or the newbies. This ends my newbies. Are you have a couple newbies left?
Yeah.
All right.
I have like one. Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, now we're at 6 for me. I believe here's my 6. Number 6, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll at
So-
number 6.
Look, he would not be on my list if not for this year. No way, would not be on my list because he has always had an awesome roster, and he's spent his prime in college. But this year, could you please stop chewing the gum, the metaphorical gum? No, but this year I for sure thought they were going to be really bad. I mean,
Not
everyone,
just you.
everyone
in the world.
Bad. The resurgence of Geno,
Mhm.
the resurgence. It's not. I mean, it's just a resurgence of Geno, but it has to be Pete. Like he rallied the troops. You got to motivate those guys. But he had bulletin board material. Everyone was trashing on them. He got the cancer Jamal Adams out of there. I'm telling you, they're doing better without him. He is a horrible, horrible teammate. Happy he's out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wish injury upon that guy, but
He just didn't
he's
do
just
very
a
well.
snake. That guy. And Pete Carroll's just like a likable guy. Well, a lot of people hate him though.
A lot of people, especially college USC stuff.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
I mean, when was the last time you saw him without the gum?
I never really look at his mouth.
Oh, he's always chewing gum. That's the joke.
I don't look at his mouth much.
Pete Carroll, one of the most, I'd say, recognizable faces in the NFL.
Yeah, but that's another thing. That roster is not very good. No, not very good.
But minus this year, John, they have had very good rosters.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I
they
mentioned that when I get to my Pete Carroll, I'll give you some of the statistics and players that he's groomed. I basically
Yeah, the defense.
I have
we
all those.
can
Move
we're gonna
on.
get to it
For
later.
me, my number 5 is John Harbaugh.
Wait, 5? You should get 6.
I just did 6. McVay.
Oh, then I should go 5.
Well, I just said no. You just did it.
Pete Carroll was 6. We have the same 5.
5, both of
We-
us.
we
Then
have
let's
the
do
same
it. Let's
5.
talk about
Yeah,
it together.
Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh, both of our 5s.
I love him. One of my faves. I love the family. I love Jim.
the Harbaugh family.
Love Jim.
Been with Baltimore since 2008, and this is where the longevity of tenure comes in.
Yeah.
Coach of the year in 2019, when he had a 14-2 record. Also played at where, John? Miami, Ohio. This is a pretty cool stat. He has a 142-91 win-loss record in the regular season. In the postseason, he's 11-8. Interesting anecdote. Most road postseason wins ever with 8.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he's gone to 5 divisional games, 3 championship games in
One Super
his
Bowl.
tenure, and won a Super Bowl in the blackout. I think John Harbaugh is just the coach. I mean, that man has done. I don't even know. Has he had? He's had maybe one. He went 7-9 last year, right? Yeah, 7-9 last year. He did, 100%.
Yeah.
He had Flacco. Now he has Lamar, who's a perennial MVP. You say you can't win a Super Bowl with Lamar. That's your take.
That's not Harbaugh's fault. And then when you're done, there's one thing that has to be mentioned to really signify the greatness of him.
So I put him in this 5 position just because of his great record. He won a Super Bowl. That for me means a lot. He's consistently winning. That winning percentage is high.
Amazing.
You could say though that his talent was never like.
On defense, it was always awesome.
On
but now
defense,
it's sort of flipped.
Yes, exactly. I mean, this year kind of.
It's actually sort of
not
weird.
flipped.
It's sort of weird because they have a bunch of stars on defense. Justin Houston, Justin Mutabate, the D tackle. They got Roquan Smith. They got Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey.
You know who else they have? A great player. We'll get back to you in a moment. They also have, in my opinion, the most valuable kicker ever, Justin Tucker. Not that, no offense, John Harbaugh doesn't do anything with Justin, but
Actually,
he trusts him.
he's a special teams coach. John Harbaugh. He was a special.
But you can't teach. Justin has the.
Do you know what tree Harbaugh came from? He's not my next coach, but the Andy Reid tree.
Andy Reid tree.
But
Give me your reasons why Harbaugh
okay,
5.
Harbaugh. You already said a bunch of great things about him. One of the biggest things, and probably two things. they are the most stable franchise in the NFL. They've had literally 2 head coaches and 2 GMs over their whole existence.
But you can make the case that they're not the oldest. They're pretty young relative to the NFL.
I mean, yeah, they came in like 98, but
That's
I mean,
young.
Yeah,
Still great. In how many years is that? That's 25 years.
That's the era of
25
Belichick.
years.
So I mean, they've had 2 GMs and 2 head coaches the whole time.
That's exactly what you want in a franchise. Going to the Super Bowl.
2 years.
Having an MVP.
Same thing as the Steelers. They've had 3 coaches in the last like 40 years. So that's sort of crazy.
You can't really say anything bad about the top 5 coaches in my list.
No. And let me say this. The number one thing that's just so great about Harbaugh, when they drafted Lamar, everyone knew you cannot put him in a pro style offense. You just can't do that. You're gonna have to put him in a college offense, and no one wanted to do that. They're like, okay, this guy's obviously an elite player. He's an elite football player. He may not be an elite quarterback, which he still isn't, but he's an elite player, and he can win us games. They revamped their entire team
around him, basically.
They revamped the entire organization. They were throwing the ball around the Flacco. They have to drop back. They run the ball now. They're a run-first team.
They're an option team.
We're going to pound you.
They're option.
Yeah, I mean, they don't do that as much now because he's getting older. But they're trying to...
Well, he's not getting older, but yes.
I mean,
well, the defense is...
Statistically, he is getting older. Look at his age.
Yes.
So, look, he's older
but he's a perennial MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good regular season player. He's really good, but it's not horrible. I mean, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
what we're saying. Yes. I'm just saying it shows a great open mindset, which Fran Merkler would have loved. Fran Merkler would have loved it. And her grandson, Wolf, would have also liked it. If you're watching this, Wolf, we remember when you were born.
Speaking of born, do you know, fun fact, do you know how many years it's been since Bill Belichick has been around in some capacity in football? Professional NFL football.
66.
No. But that would mean he's 12.
The year of 66.
Oh, the year of 66. Very close, actually.
I know where he started. Yeah, he started with the Baltimore Colts.
He sure, yes, he did.
With Don Shula.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Very nice.
I know this.
I'm like 66. He didn't start when he was 12. Bill Belichick, for me, I don't know where you put him, just because of recency bias and what your whole mantra on this list is.
Than you.
A little higher than
Actually,
me? I don't know if that's going to happen. But
you were at, wait. Oh, wait. Never mind. Oh, I thought you were saying he was at 4 for you.
I never said that.
Oh.
I was just giving you a little fun fact.
Okay.
Fun fact 4, you want to go 4?
I'll go 4. My 4 is Bill Belichick.
This one, God. Come on, guys.
Okay.
You hear this?
So,
you hear?
I gotta say, there are 3
John,
coaches.
John, hold on. Are you gonna
let you talk.
Are you just gonna say no Tom Brady means no success?
No, I'm gonna let you talk.
You go ahead.
I'm saying right now, I'm just I think him and I'll just say 3 for me is. Let me just make sure I have this right. 3 for me is Shanahan. It's they're very.
You put Shanahan all the way at 3.
I think they're pretty much tied at this point. Because let me tell you what Bill Belichick
I'm sorry, what?
is.
Okay, you go ahead.
Bill Belichick is the greatest defensive mind in NFL history. He is still the best defensive X and O coach in the NFL. But I have to tell you, what's been going on the last 3 years in that organization. It's been 3.
2.5.
They don't have an offensive coordinator. Their offensive coordinator is a defensive coordinator. That's horrible leadership. How do you do that? Why is Matt Patricia...
And he's also the GM, so you can put some...
Yes, he's been very good as the GM, actually. Well, they have actually a pretty bad roster. So, no, but overall...
Overall, he's been...
No, I mean, obviously he's the best coach of all time. I'm just saying, what's been happening... I think there's just, right now. I'm just saying right now.
So you interpret this as a right now.
I definitely think there are 3 coaches who are better than him right now. And, look, he's still the best X's and O's defense coach. You see what he does to the Jets. He's our daddy. It's clear. I say that. I hate him so much.
What did you say? Was it last week? What did you say?
That we were going to lose.
Until he leaves the earth, you will keep losing?
Until he dies, we're going to keep losing to the Patriots. It's a curse. I'm telling you. I said, look, I just like hate him. Maybe that's why he's low on me. I really hate
A
him.
lot of people do.
Him and Tom Brady are the only people I hate in my life. But when Tom Brady comes to the Jets,
I'm glad you don't hate me, John.
Maybe when Tom Brady comes to the Jets next year, I won't be so negative.
I'm really glad you don't hate me. That means a lot.
He lets me in his house all the time. What a great guy.
Great guy for me is number 5. We mentioned him previously, and that's going to be Pete Carroll. I mean, he reached the Super Bowl twice, won it once. He's been the head coach since 2012. Consistency is key for me on this one.
Yeah.
What he's doing with Geno right now just proves that, in my opinion, he can do a lot with not much. But he has also had great rosters, but they're homegrown. These guys are homegrown.
Also, what's going on with Russell right now in Denver?
Makes him look even better.
Yep.
The defensive talent that kind of arose in Seattle. You have Wagner,
John
Bobby
Schneider.
Wagner, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman. So many of the so many
You
of the.
didn't even name like the second best one.
What did I say?
The
Wagner,
the number 1 Legion of Boom man. He is
Richard
the boom.
Sherman.
No, he is the boom.
Wagner.
No, this guy was the boom in the Legion of Boom.
Defensive tackle?
Number 31.
Curse? No, not Jermaine. First name.
Cam.
Oh, no, what?
Cam. Okay.
Chancellor. Yeah.
He is the boom.
I totally
that
wrote
guy
it down.
had the shortest peak. He is like
That's why I totally forgot about him.
He is so NFL player. He was in the league for like 8 years.
He had
was
4.
He was good for all of them and had like a career-ending injury. That's so
4
NFL.
seasons ago he had that injury.
Yeah, he had just had to retire.
That's why I totally blanked on him. But
He was amazing in his prime.
Carroll, 2 Super Bowl appearances back to back. That says a lot.
God, I love him. He also had like one of the biggest blowouts in Super Bowl history too.
Against the Denver Broncos.
In our backyard.
As he has done basically nothing this year. Sorry, he's done something with nothing.
Yeah, they don't have a lot.
He is possibly created the best defense of all time. Possibly top 3.
Maybe
top 3.
But there's something you wouldn't know because you just don't know a lot about NFL history. There is an undisputed number 1 defense.
9 years.
Do you know that number 1 defense? That is,
Ever?
I think there's an undisputed top 2.
I'm gonna say the Jets.
No.
Top 2.
Undisputed top 2 singular year defenses of all time.
Is this before 2000?
The one of them is before 2000.
Then I'm not.
And then the second one's 2000. Number 1 is the
and then New England, right?
1985 Bears with Buddy Ryan, Mike Singletary.
So this is where he knows. If I was, way more.
2000 Ravens.
Ed.
Yeah,
Ray.
Ed Ray.
This guy.
They just had a bunch
you know
of
way more about
dogs,
that.
man. They had dogs. Cats.
In 12 years, he's made the playoffs 9 times.
Yep. That's a large hit rate.
He's coached for 17 years total.
Yep.
We've
already said a lot on him. He's a great guy.
He's great. And the top 5 for me are just consistent. So
yeah.
I'll go number 4. I'll go directly. Number 3. Excuse me. I was on 4. Top 3. Number 3 for me, Tomlin. 2 reasons. I'll give you 2 reasons. 1, consistency. He's never had a season, minus this season possibly, with a below 500 average, and that is a all-time high to start a career. I'd say most impressive thing for me, and I'm serious, he is the best African-American coach in North American sports history. I think he has been,
sure.
No, they talk about this all the time, and I agree. He is just someone who, a lot of head coaches, I would say, in the last 10 years have come onto the scene, but he has kind of made that. When you think of top coaches, you don't see what he has done in a negative light, because you can't name one bad season of him.
No, there isn't a bad. Maybe there's a bad. Maybe like he kept around a rapist. I mean, that was bad. But I wouldn't care. You're there to coach football, not to be a politician.
He has given so much light though to that side of sports. I mean, remember when what did he do? The only thing I can think of is when he was looking at the video board and he.
You know his son plays football for Columbia.
I did not. You told me that actually.
Yeah.
But Mike Tomlin, he's won a Super Bowl. He's including the playoffs. He's a .622 winning percentage. That's incredibly high. 2 appearances. He only finished in the. This is a stat I was amazed with. He has only finished 3rd in the AFC North once. He's finished first 7 times. That's consistency. Consistency for me is what made him here.
Ripped out the Jets' heart.
And I say in his 16 years, Steelers fans have had unbelievable 16 years.
Ask Ben Nardo about it.
Thoughts on that, though?
Nah, he's a great coach. We already spoke about him. He's good.
Number 2 for you.
3
number 3 for you.
Shanahan. We don't really need to talk about
Shanahan.
All I gotta say is this guy is the second best tactical offensive coach. That's all I gotta say. The guy is just an offense. He's a genius.
I think we have the same 1 and 2, or the same 1 and 2 flip flopped. Can I guess who you have for number 1?
Yeah, I already said your number 1.
You said my number 1. Yeah, I know. Say your number. Your number 1's Andy Reid.
Yeah.
My number 1's Belichick. Number 2's Andy Reid.
Who's my number 2? You don't know.
Your number. No, I don't know. Your number 2, John.
I gotta tell you, man. I love this guy. If I could choose anyone to be my head coach, I'd choose this guy. Who do you think it is? You don't need to guess. Mike Vrabel, baby. I love Mike Vrabel. This guy is actually unbelievable.
Impressive. Number 2.
This guy this roster is not good. It's just not good. It's not. There's on offense 1 good player. On defense, there is Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Byard.
That's it.
And like Bud Dupree and a bunch of other guys are hurt.
Bud Dupree. That's who I was talking about the other day with you. Remember?
Yeah.
On the Steelers, I said, who's the guy? Very short first name.
Well, he wasn't short, but
short first name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, look, this guy, he is a leader of men.
He's made the playoffs 3 times in 4 seasons.
Wait till this guy gets a quarterback. And the league's going to be on notice. He'll be winning Super Bowls. Well, maybe not, because Derrick Henry's going to run out of steam at some point in the next 4 years. But
he's like if Joe Judge was good.
No.
Yeah.
Because Joe Judge was so reserved. No. Mike Vrabel, even though he does come from the Patriot system, is like a dog. This guy said he'd chop off his balls to win a Super Bowl.
I think anyone who says that.
The most provocative thing Bill Belichick says is what he had for lunch that day.
Ask me. What do you have for lunch?
Hey, Bill, what did you have for lunch today, man?
I ate a turkey on rye.
Yeah, turkey on rye. That's even boring. Mike Vrabel probably has like jerk chicken
with like a elegant salad.
Yeah, he's such a cool guy.
He's a great guy. I love his whole mantra. I love everything around him.
Look, he's just like he loves his guys. I saw a video of him the other week with his center Ben Jones. That's not a good player they have. They have a couple good guys on the offensive line, and they were both crying after they beat like the Broncos.
Says a lot.
I know. It just
says
means more to him. It's just that.
So you have him all the way at 2.
Yes, I think
I have him at 10.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now. Mike Vrabel is going to be coaching for the longest on this list. He will be on. Look. We can look back at this in 30 years.
So
set a reminder.
So you have a Mike Vrabel at 2 just because of his prominent future and his current unbelievable success.
It's not even about the future.
His current success.
This guy is an amazing coach. That team is not good. It's not very good.
Henry and
running back can only take you so far.
Exactly.
Look, who are the receivers on that team?
They have.
Can you name one? I can name them, but can you name them?
No more Brown.
I mean, I can name the 3 that they have, but can you?
I cannot. No, I can't.
Treylon Burks, Robert Woods. Nick Robinson Akine. Nick Westbrook.
Robert Woods is basically nothing anymore.
Like, look, their tight ends. They have Austin Hooper.
He's good. He's probably a top 10 tight end.
He's fine. He's fine. It's not about that. The guy's just willing to go to war. Just man. He was a man when men were men.
You know who else is a man though? You can't forget about possibly the coolest guy
Talk about
in
Andy
the
Reid.
world.
You talk about Andy
In
Reid.
the world, whenever I see him talk,
On a
I see his face,
Stafford
I
commercial.
smile, and that is Andy Reid. Your number one coach, my number two, Belichick number one for me. Andy Reid with Kansas City and the Eagles could be, if Belichick could be,
He's
the number one coach.
He's the best offensive
ever.
mind of all time.
Yeah. Andy
But, I
Reid,
mean,
you wanna hear
not-
can I give you some statistics
Yeah,
on
sure.
Andy?
Please.
Andy with KC and Philadelphia, he's had 2 Super Bowl appearances. I would say he made Mahomes. You're going to disagree.
No, he has more than 2 Super Bowl appearances. Just with Kansas City, he is 2. He has 1 with the Eagles.
Sorry, 2 Super Bowl. You're right. 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl with Kansas City.
Yes.
In 24 seasons combined, he has a 637 win percentage, 111 and 44 in Kansas City.
Amazing.
This is a cool stat. He has been top 15 or top 16 in points per season since 2008. Consistency on the offensive side, and minus 1 season with Philadelphia. He's a one-time champion, 3 Super Bowl appearances. I'd say he helped revive Kansas City. 9 seasons in and 8 playoff appearances for Kansas City under the Reid era.
One thing I
He's
got
coached for 24 years as well.
One thing I gotta say about him, even though like he definitely made him, like when you have Patrick Mahomes, like he's my number 1 head coach. Like there's nothing negative, but like, I'm just saying when you have Mahomes, it's just like
And he happens to have Mahomes.
when you have Mahomes, you can do anything.
You could make the case that a bad coach has. Look at any coach in the history of coaching. You're not going to have a bad coach have a bad player. Every coach ever has had good players. Popovich, great players. I don't even know. Torrey, great players. I mean, you're not going to have a good coach with bad players.
Tom Thibodeau is a good coach. This guy has a bunch of bums on his team these days.
Well, he's had in the past good players. Rose, basically just Rose. But anyway,
you don't like that comment.
We're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Andy Reid has, first of all, the charisma.
Yes.
That you always
He's a great
want.
character. He's got everything.
He just feels great. Analytically, statistically, possibly great quarterback coach.
One negative thing I think you can say about him, I don't think he doesn't touch the defense at all.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like Bill Belichick touches
Mhm.
everything.
No, you're right. But I think that's just what he's good at. He does what he's
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
at, and he succeeds.
Absolutely.
He doesn't need to touch the defense.
I love the CEOs, the great CEOs.
You
who
think
actually
this is a good question. You think
who
he gets
are-
along with Eric?
Eric?
Yeah.
The enemy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah,
Or you'd fire him.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So Belichick for me, number 1. Not much to say about that, in my opinion. Greatest head coach of all time, possibly
Absolutely.
in North American sports. 3-time coach of the year, 671 winning percentage, 31 playoff wins, 294 regular season wins, 22 years straight with the Patriots, 6-time champion, 9 appearances, the general manager, and has coached and brought up some of the best players ever.
I will say though, Coach of the Year is just really like not a good award.
I had,
Because-
you know what? On here I had John will say doesn't matter in asterisks. I had it. I deleted it, but exactly what I had.
If they gave it to the coach who actually deserves it every year, it'd be Andy Reid and Bill Belichick
every year. Yeah, no, you're right.
Like it's not. It's just like best turnaround. Of the
No,
year.
you're right. But then they should make like a most improved coach. Come
That's
back.
like it's just like that's what Matt LaFleur he got that a couple years ago. It's just like because obviously Bill Belichick's the best coach every year, and like Reid and
No,
all
you're
those
right. No,
guys.
but that's what the success is for.
It's all for that dough.
Belichick 1 for me, Reid 1 for you, Reid 2 for me. John, a lot of coaches, and I believe everyone on this list has potential to keep going except Belichick. Reid can, if he wants.
And Carroll's gonna be done in a couple years. Carroll's older than Belichick, even though you don't think about it like that, because he's not like big and he looks pretty strong.
We're going to wrap up our thoughts in a moment when we come back. So, John, to wrap us up, what do you think? What do you think has the characteristics of a good coach?
Well, sorry about that shake. I don't know why I did that. Considering we started with this, it's already on here, but we'll say it again. There's a lot of things. It's a little flippy floppy, but I think let's do a better question. What would your type of head coach be like? Your guy, you run for a wall,
Like-
run through a
like-
wall for him.
Like, what
Like-
out of these?
No, like what makes it? What makes it?
Okay,
like,
for me-
no, I was gonna answer.
Oh, you just asked me.
Well, then I was gonna answer it myself.
Oh, okay.
Then you can answer it. Like a CEO who played the game and is willing to go to war for his guys. Who is that? That's Mike the Dog Vrabel. This guy, I love this guy, man.
Personally, I disagree. I like someone who's a little more cool, a little more calm, and that's where I think Andy Reid. You know, Andy Reid, everyone knows he loves his players and he loves his team, but he's not like physically aggressive. He's a little more reserved, and that's what I like in a coach. He gives it to the team, not so much the media. I think someone who everyone knows is that guy, but he's not as physically aggressive. And I love what Vrabel does. Don't get me wrong, but personally, that's just how I am.
I have another thing. I don't know if you can answer this because I don't know if you don't have thought about it. But I just want to say, most underrated coach in the league.
Underrated coach
by far is Arthur Smith on the Falcons. They know what their record is against the spread. It's like 7-2.
Okay, that's against the spread.
Yeah, because he's beating the expectations. Mm-hmm. That team is not very good. They keep on overperforming.
You're right. No, you're right.
Look, I don't like how they just completely killed Kyle Pitts this year, but rip Pitts.
I had Pitts.
No
longer.
Right.
We had, I think, pretty good.
Yeah.
I think everyone was on our list that wasn't on our list. I mean, we both had the same guys. Did we miss one?
Let's see. Well, let me just see your 10. Well, you have these guys. Where are these guys?
That's just the coaching tree.
Who the hell's Jed Fish? Ron Rivera. I didn't have.
Okay, you didn't have Rivera, and
who did I have that you didn't have then? Oh, I have Kevin O'Connell.
You had Kevin O'Connell. But John, a lot of coaches, a lot of more possible.
This guy wrote a lot, man. This is a lot of commitment right here.
Thank you. A lot of possible. I'd say this list can, if possible, can be the same for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Depending on how things go. And, yeah. I enjoyed this a lot.
This was a good one. How about you close it out since I closed out last week?
All right. As Pete Carroll would say to the media after a great win, we played good. We can play better. See you next time, and take care.